Kaieteur Radio, keeping you informed.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Burbies 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio.
Good evening and welcome to this evening's newscast right here on Kaieteur Radio. I am Kevin Smith. Before we get to the news in detail, let's get to today's front page comment of the Kaieteur News. The post of Foreign Secretary was a political contrivance. It was created following the affirmation by the court that persons who held dual citizenship were ineligible to sit in the National Assembly, and consequently, and in accordance with the Constitution, to hold ministerial office. It is believed that in order to re-employ former Foreign Minister Carl Greenidge within the Foreign Ministry, the post of Foreign Secretary was created. No less a person than incumbent Vice President labeled the appointment as incestuous. It therefore came as a surprise when the new PPPC government announced that former Minister of Natural Resources and Minister of Agriculture, Robert Prasad, had been appointed Foreign Secretary within the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. The appointment was greeted with a thunderstorm of criticisms, including from within the diaspora. Many questioned Prasad's suitability for the post. Robert Prasad was at the helm of the Ministry of Natural Resources when the Kanji and Kaieteur oil blocks were handed out. Global Witness, a reputable non-governmental body, had less than flattering things to say about Prasad's recollection of the identities of those handed these oil blocks. Just prior to the 2011 elections, Prasad announced that he was taking a political sabbatical. He has now reappeared as the government's point person on international cooperation. His new posting will require of him a role in agreements signed between Guyana and other countries. It is not a comforting thought. And now for the news in detail. There has been much discourse over the industry low 2% royalty Guyana is getting from ExxonMobil's oil production in the Stabroek Block. However, the deal granted to the owner of the Kanji Block pales in comparison. When former President and Minister of Petroleum Donald Ramotar signed away the Kanji Block in March 4, 2015, he not only agreed to a royalty rate of 1%, he agreed that Guyana would repay every cent. The fiscal terms of the contract denote that the funds gained from the sale of the oil and gas will be split 50-50 between the contractor and the government after the contractor recoups its investment. The royalty is what should have also been payable by the contractor of a percentage of all oil and gas produced and sold. In this contract, the royalty is being paid to GRA from the government's share of profit oil. Meanwhile, when looking at the sheer scale of its oil and gas discoveries, it is clear that Guyana has in its hand an enviable amount of wealth. But to ensure that resource benefit its citizenry, the true owners of this patrimony, the politicians in office, have to get a few things right. According to Chatham House Associate Fellow Dr. Valerie Marcel, one of those key tools is an effective local content policy that is backed by robust laws. Such a policy serves to guide oil companies on how they must go about giving first preference to local businesses and how they are expected to train and hire citizens to be part of their operations. In creating such a document, however, Dr. Marcel cautioned that Guyana needs to think long-term and keep its eyes fixed on outlining provisions to create value that would last for years to come and under economic different circumstances. And moving on, the APNU-AFC opposition is in full support of any international assistance being lent to reform Guyana's electoral laws. Same was revealed on Monday by the opposition leader Joseph Harmon, who was asked to comment on the PPPC administration seeking assistance from the Canadian government on electoral reform. Harmon's statement, however, comes after several high-ranking members of the APNU-AFC are facing heavy accusations of playing a hand in attempting to pervert the will of the people at the March 2nd, 2020 elections. In other news, cops today caught the driver who fled after he struck down two Kaieteur News staffers along the Houston East Bank Demerara Public Road on October 13th with his tinted black Nissan Tida motor car. The car was spotted in the early morning hours by traffic ranks operating along the East Bank of Demerara at the entrance of McDoom. Both the driver and the car were subsequently escorted to the Rheinfeld police station, where he was told of the offense. We were told that the man begged to settle the matter and offered to compensate the staffers with $10,000 in cash. This offer was refused and he was charged for the offense and released on $20,000 bail. He is expected to appear in court on October 26, 2020. And moving on, with the advent of Guyana's oil and gas industry, the dream the country's leaders have attempted to sell to their countrymen is that these deals will bring them prosperity. However, in the case of the Kanji Block Agreement, before Guyana could even see the fruits of the execution of the work program set out in the contract, the country was placed in debt. The people of Guyana owe Kanji owner Mid-Atlantic Oil and Gas Inc. $100 million in pre-contract costs. Former President and Minister of Petroleum Donald Ramotar agreed to this when he signed the March 4, 2015 contract, handing the block to the infant company. The company's sole shareholder is Dr. Edris Kamal Duki. Let's tell you now that if it is the intention of Guyanese authorities to have a local content policy and a legislation that allow for the progressive participation of citizens in the oil sector, there are two key ingredients that must be present in the formulation of that document. According to Chatham House expert Dr. Valerie Marcel, the two major ingredients are clear definitions on what qualifies as local content and robust systems to monitor the performance of companies in using local businesses as well as their trading and hiring citizens. In other news, it has been over 2 weeks since Kaieteur News began chronicling a shocking expose of the shoddy Kaieteur and Kanji oil blocks deal that was approved by the former president, Donald Ramotar. We showed, among other things, how these prime assets were given away to industry unknowns. Despite such shocking revelations being put into the public domain, leader of the APNU-AFC opposition, Joseph Harmon, yesterday declared that the coalition is awaiting more information before any action is taken in the National Assembly to hold those responsible parties accountable. According to Harmon, such a conclusion about the posture of the political opposition may not be accurate, since the information being revealed to the public by Kaieteur News was more than what they had in the opposition. And finally, the charges against Minister of Legal Affairs and Attorney General Anil Nandlal that alleged the theft of law books was on Friday discontinued. Following a letter from the DPP, Shalimar Ali Haq, the two magistrate Fabayo Azor in the Georgetown Magistrates Courts, the charges were discontinued based on the directions in a letter. Nandlal had denied the charges, which alleged that between May 18, 2015 and May 29, 2015, while being a bailee in his then capacity as Attorney General, he fraudulently converted 14 Commonwealth law reports valued at $2,313,853, property of the Ministry of Legal Affairs, to his own use and benefits. And that brings us to the end of this evening's newscast. I am Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening. Coming up next is the National Outlook with GHK Lal.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow. call us on 225-8465 or 226-8210 today.
Hi guys, this is Susan Sachs and you're listening to Kaieteur Radio 99.1, 99.5 FM. Hello. Join us every